The sun is shining and the AC is grinding. Welcome to the Higher View Podcast, the podcast dedicated to the creative, the outside thinker, and the believer. If this is your first time listening, welcome to the show. This is my beautiful co-host, Alexus, and I am Jonathan, your host.
Hello.
This is actually our very last episode of season 1. Why are you laughing? This is the last episode of season 1, not forever, but temporarily. So thank you for tuning in. I hope it's not too late. I hope you've listened to a lot of our other episodes, and if you haven't, we want to encourage you to go listen to the other ones. And I don't know why Lex is having a laugh attack right when we start, but hey, kick it in gear and disappear. I'll probably just set her off.
Everything's just making me laugh right now. But
how you doing, partner?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm doing great. I stayed home. Well, I worked a little bit, but I was able to pack. We move into our new home in 2 days.
Is it two? And technically, it's 2 days.
2 days.
It's 2 days.
2 days. Yeah.
So we got 2 days left, and immediately after this episode, we're tearing down everything in this room, tearing the studio down. Those are kind of like the last final touches, but yeah, this week we've been having some last final touches with packing and getting things together for the new house. So it's been a very eventful week, you could say the least.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to that season. Our next chapter is literally right around the corner. But this episode is I'm just really looking forward to seeing what comes out from this episode, because like you said, like looking back, I don't even know if you said this. It might have been in my head. I don't know. But like looking back at all of our content and seeing how much we've created, I'm just like, wow. Mm-hmm. Like going over it, it's
crazy.
So rewarding to see the fruits of that, the consistency of that. And it's been really awesome.
Yeah. It's been really cool to see our consistency grow, our want to do this grow, our passion for this to grow, and in turn it's helped us communicate way better. I would think so, for sure. It definitely has, I feel like, but it's just been good all around. I think there's not one negative thing that I can say out of this at all. Yeah, it's just been really great. I agree. But you know, this episode is just going to be a recap. This is just a recap of season 1, a season of beginning this, a season of learning how all of this goes. So we're just kind of go over, you know, what we've learned. We've took some notes down yesterday. We were going over like what we want to talk about and stuff like that. But whatever you want to share, whatever you want to start spilling with, you know, like I know you have some things to say and I have some things to say, but we'll just kind of go over, you know, like what really stood out to us throughout all these episodes.
Yeah, I mean, all of them. I just catch myself. Yeah, the end. Like when I'm with my clients, certain episodes come in my mind and I'm like, oh yeah, like I remember when we talked about that. And I've just noticed that the episodes that we've done have poured into my life. And it's been something that I can go back and think on. And also, it's not just we do the episode and it's just left there and it's never thought about again. It's like it is something that is boiling inside of me that has been planted inside of me. For sure, yeah. And it's a good word to say. Yeah, planted, not boiling.
I mean, that one too.
I feel like when we come up with the episode, something's boiling in me to speak about it. But after I speak about it, I feel like it's planted in me. And then once I start to, once I start to talk to people and have conversations with them, those episodes come up, and it's just really, really cool to see that, because it's things that we've created. It's episodes that have came to us, and you know, just God pouring out wisdom through us, and then it's something that we can use towards our life, and that has been amazing to see. And I would have never thought that we would be where we're at by starting something like this. Mm-mm. It was just a thought. It was a continual thought. It was something before we started the podcast. It was really you that like, I really want to do a podcast. And it was something that was sitting on your heart for a while. Mm-hmm. And then we were like, it's time to do it. Like it's time now. And so it's just so cool to see all of this come together.
Yeah, it's been really, really cool. And it's kind of like adding tools into your toolbox as you create episodes and without even knowing. You know, like as we were going over the recap of from yesterday, it was just like, dude, we've gained so much from this. Like, this is crazy. But I'll go over a couple things that I wrote down that I just really feel like stood out to me this season. I really feel like these have stamped me in my life, in my heart, and in my spirit. I really feel these things deeply. So the first thing that I wrote down, which I feel like is probably one of the most important of this season, is consistency brings inspiration. So as we were consistently coming up with ideas of what to record and going through the weeks, and even with our work, our regular work jobs, like we still had to come up with ideas, but the consistency behind that, knowing that we were committed to recording every single week, inspiration came because of that. Inspiration came because we put our yes to this.
That's good.
I've just been really, that's stood out to me a lot more than almost anything. But I learned that stepping into what God has called you to do, you have to ignore the opinions of others, because you don't have to answer to anyone else but that man above. And there can always be opinion. There can always be comments. There can always be somebody maybe giving suggestions, but I feel like you kind of have to trust your own creativity. I feel like you have to trust your own creativity. You have to trust what God has shown you and what it's going to look like, what it's going to sound like, what it's going to be like.
That, when you said that, like, yes, like with other people's opinions, but also your own, because I think we are our most, or what's the word? I think we are our own worst critic.
Yeah.
And we criticize ourselves probably more than other people criticize us.
With this?
Yeah, I think so.
Move that. Yeah, we're our biggest critics for sure.
Yeah. And so when you were saying like trust your creativity, trust what God's doing in your life, that's a word.
Yeah.
Even for somebody that criticizes themselves, like trust what you're doing.
For sure.
And don't compare, and that's that.
Yeah. So I also learned the power of sharing testimony firsthand and how it really impacts people. You know, how when we talk about personal things on here, people have come up to me or you, and like, I'm so glad that you shared that. I'm so glad that you were able to open up and be genuine about your experience, because that's something that I'm walking through. That's something that I'm trying to get through myself. And even with like the new age, like we saw that literally from firsthand. Like people were commenting on videos, people were asking questions, and now it's turned into a whole nother thing. But the power of testimony, it's completely stronger than, I think, than reading. Reading testimony, hearing testimony is way more powerful than reading it.
Oh yeah, like hearing it from somebody actually speaking it instead of just reading
from a real life experience.
Yeah,
you know, just there's something about one-on-one interaction. There's something about me telling you, this is what I went through, this is how I overcame it.
Yeah, I literally just watched, like before we got on here, I was kind of on Instagram for a little bit, and I just watched somebody, this artist that I follow, and she lives in Hawaii, and I love her, the music that she creates. She just creates Christian music, and it's worship. It's beautiful worship, and it's very, what's I'm trying to say? It just can resonate really, really well with.
It's relatable.
It's very relatable, and she's having to like move out of the place that God called her to go to. And now like she built a home church, like she built friendship, relationships, and leadership, everything. And now God's called her to leave. And she was on stage literally being so vulnerable and sharing her grief to everybody at the church, like on stage, and just hearing her talk and hearing her share her testimony and hearing God's voice in her life. Like it was so powerful. Like I literally sat there and watched the whole thing. It was like 3 minutes of her just talking. It was just so, it empowered me to see her talk like that. And the things she was saying, it wasn't just about God moving her to the next season. It was just the way she was sharing her testimony really blessed me. It blessed my relationship with God.
Yeah.
So
testimony has power, man. It has power. Let's see. I learned to plant myself where my feet land and not be so sporadic with what I decide to do. And I think this is a tool a lot of people can use in life. And I don't know why, but these days I feel like that's more applicable than ever. Being where your feet land, wherever God calls you to be, be there.
I think that was episode consistency, right?
Consistency, yeah.
So if y'all want to listen to that one.
Consistency, I think it's episode 23. But I really learned to be able to just stand still, because there's been times, like we've talked on here before with our testimony, where we're kind of everywhere. We have so many things going on, and we didn't really ever really build something up consistently.
Yeah.
You know, we started something, and we're like, okay, I'm gonna go do this next thing. I'm even like with our art, we would start an art piece and it'd barely be finished. Be like, all right, I'm gonna go do another one. So this really helped me put my feet where I land, and it helped me plant myself, and it allowed me to grow stronger in an area because I stayed here. We stayed here, you know. So
yeah, like once you get one thing down, be consistent and disciplined in one thing, then it can pour into the other things in your life.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Pretty sure I said that in a few episodes ago, but it literally goes with what you're saying. So I agree. Like I've definitely have seen that in my life too. It's blessed me to be consistent with this and have something to work towards and not be all over the place.
Yeah. So I also learned that being on a platform does not mean that you're always at an all-time high. And it's very easy to think that people are at an all-time high, because I mean, just like that episode, I forget which one it's called, where you see the end result only, or you only see the end result, like you're on Instagram, you see the end result of people. I don't know what that one was. Well, because on Instagram, what we see is just the end result, but we're not seeing the work behind it. I think it was consistency as well. But
probably
all you see is the end result. All you see is like the good side of people. All you see is them being happy. All you see is them, you know, you don't see the fights, the struggles that it takes to get to the place that they're at.
Yeah.
So it showed me that I don't always have to feel bright. I don't always have to feel ready to go 100% all the time. You know, like I'm still human. I don't have to put on a show for anybody. I don't have to act like I'm something that I'm not.
That's good.
And it really allowed me to break another barrier of being myself.
Being real. And not caring what people think. Like, you nailed that.
Yeah.
Not having to put on a show, like even getting in front of the camera and being vulnerable and posting ourselves out there on a platform. I think vulnerability, realness, authenticity. I can't say it.
Okay.
Being okay. Authentic.
Speaking of be real.
And being real. Speaking of be real. Being authentic, and those people want that more than anything.
Oh yeah, people crave it.
People want to connect. People want to see the real you, not just little glimpse of you. Like, when you can get real, that's when things can grow, and you can actually meet genuine people on social media, and it's not just little stuff.
Yeah, it's not just a relationship of, hey, how you doing? How you been? You know, you have a deep connection now.
Yeah. And that's the power of social media. Like, we don't have to be fake on there. I mean, you can be creative and make your posts and stuff, but have some real stuff on there too.
For sure. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
I agree. Let's see. I learned the art of communication can put you in places you never thought you'd be in. But what I mean by this is the art of communication, because communication is an art form. I believe when you know how to use your words in an eloquent way, then you can deliver to a crowd or an audience in any kind of scenario. You can deliver to kids, you can deliver to adults, you can deliver to young adults, just depending on how you communicate, your body language, what words you use. And I think learning that communication is an art allowed me to really put a study on how I use my words, what kind of wordplay I use when I speak. And I remember when I thought this idea that this kind of stamped me on this season, I remembered speaking in front of the prison when we went to prison ministry, and I was speaking in front of all of the men, which was completely new to me. And we were in the season of recording and stuff, but it was still very, very new. And I really didn't, honestly, when I went up there, I didn't really feel anything. Like, it felt a lot more natural than anything, but it just gave me that idea. It gave me that reminder of speaking in front of people, because if I never started recording, if we never started recording and focusing on our communication, then I probably would never be in a place like that. I probably wouldn't even be in a position to give somebody insight on something in their life, like the youth or anybody, like any of my friends, anything like that. So it really gave me an opportunity to speak in places like that.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Speaking of, because that episode that you got inspired by was definitely Art of Travel. That's one of my favorite episodes. It was so cool. It was episode 11 if you guys want to go watch that. And a note I took for that one, it really blessed me having the lens of traveling each time I meet somebody. Every time you meet somebody, you are traveling. And that's really what we got in depth in that episode. It's an opportunity to see a whole other world. And so that really encouraged me. So like when I'm doing hair, when I'm meeting new people, it's a whole other world. Like that person is a whole other world than me.
They have a whole different experience on this earth.
And so when you get to meet them, you get to learn who they are. You're traveling.
You see a glimpse of it.
Yeah. So
I love that concept. I still love that. Like I get lost in that concept. I really, really do. It's so true. And just the thought of so many different people living on the same ground that we're walking on.
Yeah.
So many different walks of life, so many different things seen on the same ground that we're walking on. It's amazing to think about, because when you run into people like that, you are traveling. You literally are.
And we're not here to do life alone. We're here to have relationship. And we're here to have a community and a relationship. And so when you're out and about and you're meeting new people and you're putting yourself in a situation to meet people, this is a really good lens, a good perspective to have.
Yeah, it is.
Instead of being so, what's the word?
Like closed off?
Yeah, what's the word for that? Like you're extrovert, introvert.
Introvert. Yeah.
So instead of being
introverted,
yeah. Instead of being introverted, you can have that lens. Oh, I'm here to have a relationship. I'm here to meet people. I'm here to grow. And if you just stick to yourself, how are you going to grow? How are you going to even travel? How are you going to experience life? How are you going to get out of your comfort zone if you're just in the corner and being intimidated? There's no reason to be intimidated. Those are just lies in your head.
Yeah, that's one of those things that's really hard to get past, in my opinion. I mean, I even struggle with that. I have a lot more in my past. These days, it's a lot more easy for me to just go up to somebody and, what's up, dude? Like, my name's Jonathan. But back then, and I was just, I don't know, maybe I was just shy, maybe I was just scared, but I just didn't really feel like I needed anybody. But, I mean, just like the Bible says, iron sharpens iron. You know, you need people that are equally equipped as you, if not more. You know, you need those people in your life. You need those people in your corner to grow, for sure. Community is key. Yeah. Absolutely.
We would not be where we are today if we didn't have a community.
Not at all. Definitely.
I remember the season before we were married, before we were at our church today, we craved a community. We had nobody. We didn't hang out with anybody. No, nothing. We're just like, we want some friends. Like, we want a laugh. Like, what is this? Yep. And now look at us. Yep. We're overflowed. God, oh man, that is just like blessing my heart right now. Like, when you think about that, like, that's why people will say, like, when you have a prayer, like, write down your prayer, write down the date you prayed it, and then look back a while from now and look at that prayer and look how God answered it. He always multiplies in your life.
That's why I like the Bible app. If you guys didn't know this, there's a thing on there where you can pray, and it'll ask you, like, do you have any prayers that you want to put on here? And it'll have the date. And then later, and every day you can go through it and you can put, like, did God answer this yet? Or is it still, like, in the works?
That's so cool.
Then you can see which prayers are answered.
I'm such a physical. Like, I like to write. I like to have the books. Like, even reading Bible on my phone is just, it doesn't do the same. It just doesn't.
I feel you. I agree. It doesn't hit as hard.
It's just something about holding it and like looking at your handwriting, and just, it's something about it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But
that's cool that that's still there on the Bible app. I didn't know that.
So I also got a deeper grasp of God's creativity and how he designs and creates everything to work together in what seems like chaos to us, but is complete unison to him. So the reason I put this down here, the reason I came up with this kind of idea is because I know there's been so many chaotic weeks doing this. There's been so many occasions where I feel overwhelmed. There's so many occasions where I feel stressed, and not because of the podcast, because this is kind of an escape, I feel like, for me. This is something that I can just come and do and relax, and it just leaves all of the worries behind. But there is a lot of stress and work and life that is in the buildup and mix of this. So what seems like chaos to me is going on. There's so much going on. I need to edit. I need to come up with content. It's perfect unison to God. And he knows exactly what he's doing. He's stretching me in all the right ways. He's taking me to all the right places. He's telling me what I need to do. He's giving me inspiration for the things that we need to speak. And he's giving me the strength to do it all at the same time. So it's just amazing. It's something like this can happen. And it just goes to show that we're just mere human brains that don't really understand much at all. And when you look at the big picture, like looking back at all of our content, we can see like
God,
we were going to a place the whole time.
You said what?
We were going to a place the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, we had a destination the whole time, and we still do. But we're just, you know, this is going to be a little bit of a break. But we had a whole destination, even throughout all the chaos.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's so cool when you can pull yourself from the higher view perspective and just look at your situation, just see God's hand in it. Because I think whenever we are so in our head and looking at it from what's right in front of us and looking at it from our own understanding, and like our brains are so limited to what God can pour into our minds. Like we limit him, but he's really the source of creativity in the first place. And so if we just surrender to him and let him pour himself on us and our minds, the things that come out of our mouth, the things that we come up with is not like it is us, but it's also God. We're partnering up with him.
Yeah.
If it was just us, this wouldn't be like this. It just wouldn't. And so it's so cool to see it from a higher perspective.
Big facts.
Like that. Big facts.
Big facts. I learned my time is more valuable than pleasing people. Taking care of my four walls has more reward than taking care of someone else's needs. I feel like I grew another boundary with myself in just nurturing our marriage and nurturing us and allowing other people to, I guess the harsh thing to say, feel let down, even though it's something that I have to say no to tend to my marriage. This is more important to me. This is more, it has more importance in my life right now. So there are some occasions with, you know, like people that want to go do things or the things that we want to go out and people are inviting us, but we have to turn them down. And that's totally okay. Like I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything or anything like that. I feel more rewarded by taking care of our four walls. If we have to record this day, we can't go out. I'm sorry. If we're busy, if we're having a day to ourselves, if we're having a Sabbath, I'm sorry. Like we just can't. And that's so much more rewarding than
the feeling like you have to say yes and
feeling like I have having a hard time saying no. It's more rewarding than that.
It's what?
It's more rewarding than having a hard time saying no.
Yeah.
Just like the episode saying no, which I really think that's a good episode, saying no. But
yeah, that's true. That's true. Look at that.
I learned not to quit just because you don't feel like pushing through anymore. So just kind of going through the motions with the weeks and why am I even doing this? Like sometimes I think like, should we just quit now? Like, I don't know. Sometimes I just get doubt. Sometimes there's just seasons of slowness, seasons of there's too much going on. I just feel like this can be put down right now. But I know in my spirit I need to keep going. I need to keep pushing through.
I think those are totally normal things to experience when you're doing something good.
Yeah.
When you're working towards something, being consistent, breaking habits, doing all the good things, growing. It's just like when you're working out. There's times where you're like, I don't want to like push through. I'm fine. But it's like if you keep going, it's so rewarding after like finishing that workout. Like, man, I feel great. And sometimes we get in our heads a little bit when we start something new. We're like, dang, like.
Yeah. That's very true.
Yeah.
So I learned that ego does not make a good passenger. Ego does not make a good passenger. some wise words from Caleb Gordon, Christian rapper. If you guys haven't heard him, definitely go check him out. He's one of my favorites. Being an answer to prayers is better than finding a niche. So my answer to prayers, my answer to God's call could be an answer to prayer to somebody else. I'm not doing this because I want to have an audience. I'm not doing this because I want to have people following us. I don't want our name out there. I want God's presence in everything that we do. I want his yes. I want his covering. I want to be under his wing. And this is a yes to what he's called us to do. So finding or being an answer to a prayer is better than finding a niche. Absolutely. Any day.
That deserves to be on a t-shirt.
It does, absolutely. But overall, I learned that being under God's call, you cannot fail. And I've learned to trust that idea. I've learned to trust that idea more and more. I think being under God's call, there's not really one thing that you can make a mistake on. You can't really make a wrong turn. You know, whatever it is, even if you fall off, you're learning a lesson.
It's going to make a big circle, and everything's turning into good.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. That idea has been more prevalent in my life over this season, really. It's just kind of been opening up in my brain. Just that idea of I can trust the call that God has called me to do. So,
ooh,
yeah.
He just did that.
But I also want to share, and we didn't go over this.
Yeah.
But I also want to share just kind of what we've accomplished in this season, because we really don't look over this. We really don't kind of keep an eye on this. But just to give kind of a reference of where we're at now, we have 859 downloads since our start date.
Wow.
859 downloads.
What does it mean, downloads? Of
listeners, so people that have listened to our podcast, people that have downloaded our podcast.
Wow.
That's just straight listening, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and any other platform that we're on. So 859 downloads. Okay.
Wow.
We have, let's go to YouTube.
That's crazy. 859 people.
Yep. So for YouTube, how many views we have on YouTube? On our YouTube videos, we have 2,000 views across all of our videos. We have, let's see, 600 new followers across all social media platforms. Just about, probably a little bit more, but 600 followers.
Oh my God.
So we have made some progress here.
Wow.
And it's surprising because this is all organic. We've never ran any type of ad. We've never ran anything. We've never done any of that. So this is all organic off social media, off telling people about it, people checking us out. It's all organic.
Wow.
So it's really, really cool to see that. It's
My
really
God.
cool to see where
That's crazy.
our efforts have gone.
Yeah.
You know, like we're doing something here. You know, we're not just putting it out in space. Like people are listening and it's there. So it's so cool to see that.
Love that.
So glad that we did this.
Yeah. I love you. And I just want to say one thing is, if you a lady, go check out the ladies EP, ladies episode. I really feel like that would just bless you. That's all I want to say.
Yeah. Well, this episode, like we said in the beginning, it's going to be the last episode of season 1. We're planning on setting up season 2 in a couple months. I'm not really sure on how long it's going to be. We still want to stay up to date with like social media, post reels here and there, give updates on where we're at. But I really want to have a nice studio set up. We got to get some more mics. I want to change some things up.
Yeah.
And just have a whole new look. Probably redesign everything.
And we'll be having guests.
It's going to
be a whole thing.
And eventually we're going to put out a form for people to have whoever's interested. You know, you can fill this form out and we can have you on the show. We'll set up a date. Obviously, we'll get together before the podcast, you know, if you're somebody that's new.
Yeah, like a coffee for lunch or something.
But we'll come up with the topic, or could just be just your testimony, and we'll pick a topic from the testimony or something like that. But I really want to revamp this. I want to redesign, and I want to redo everything and see how high we can go with it.
Let's do it.
This next season, I want to do some advertising. I want to run some ads. I want to make it the real deal.
We're going to make it a real deal, guys. It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited to see the people we get to meet, the stories we get to hear, just the vulnerability that's going to happen here on this episode with other people. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful experience, and I'm freaking excited to get there. And I'm glad you said that you don't know exactly when it is, because we don't, but it's not going to be like 6 months. No. Like it'll
be under 5.
Yeah, it's going to be a good timing. I can see
probably like
I could see it happening like close to fall.
Yeah.
Because we just started summer, and then fall happens in September.
Yeah.
So it's like I can just see it getting started by then. Your 25th birthday.
25th birthday. That's crazy. Don't remind me.
But yeah, and we're going to keep up with the social media, like you said. I love that. We can get creative. We're not just going to disappear, guys. So please stay tuned to our TikTok, our Instagrams, and just videos that we make. And it's going to be awesome. We'll get creative and funny.
Yeah. But if you made it to this end of this episode, really, I should say, if you made it to the end of this season, there is a special place for you in heaven. And we just want to throw out a huge thank you to every single person that has consistently followed, consistently listened, and consistently gave feedback. You guys are all part of the family. We love you guys so much. We just can't put into words how grateful we are for this opportunity, for this platform, for what God has brought through this and what he's doing in the future with this. So just thank you. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for everything that you've done. We feel more filled with gratitude than ever before. And I just thank you. Thank you guys. But is there anything you want to say to close out?
We're here for y'all. Even if we're not posting seasons or episodes right now, we're here for you guys. You can just reach out to us. Message us, like any questions you have, anything over any episodes you listen to. Just hit us up. We're here for you guys. This is a community that we are building. So don't be a stranger. Yeah.
Don't be a stranger. We definitely won't be. But until next time, guys, we don't know when we'll be back. But until we see you again, see things from a higher view. This is not goodbye. This is see you later.
See you later.
Peace out, guys.